In the deep void of space, where even light seemed afraid to linger, something massive drifted unseen. The Galactic Empire's fleets ruled this region for centuries, crushing rebellions and burning planets without mercy. Their power was absolute, their technology unmatched, or so they believed, but whispers began to spread among traitors and mercenaries, stories of strange readings at the edge of human space. Ghost signals, they said, vanishing as quickly as they appeared. No one knew what they meant until the day the Empire's 7th Armada vanished without a trace. On the Imperial command ship Vraxion, Admiral Kor watched the last transmission, loop over and over again, a flash of light, a distorted voice screaming about a massive shadow, then static, no explosions, no debris, no survivors, only silence. For the first time in decades, the mighty Empire had no explanation. Their analysts suggested an experimental weapon, but no Empire lab had ever built such a thing. Others whispered a darker truth. It was human technology. The humans, once dismissed as primitive and emotional, had disappeared from galactic politics after the Terran Wars. Everyone thought Earth was finished. Its colonies lost, its fleets destroyed. But the truth was far from that. Hidden deep within the dark arms of the Milky Way, Earth had built something the galaxy was never meant to see. On the moon base, Helios, Captain Mara Sterling, stood before a massive hangar door. Behind that door was the culmination of 2 centuries of secret work. Codenamed Eclipse, the supercarrier was larger than any known vessel, built from alloys that bent light and absorbed scans. Even its own crew had never seen it from the outside. Its engines were silent, its hull alive with quantum shielding. It was a ghost born from human defiance. "Command wants a full activation test," Mara said, her voice calm but her heart racing. "Let them tremble," her chief engineer replied, quietly. And when the door opened, even the stars seemed to fade away. The Eclipse emerged, black, sleek, endless, its surface shifting like liquid night. Humanity's vengeance had finally awakened. Somewhere across the galaxy, Admiral Kor's fleet received a signal, a voice transmission, short and cold. "This is Earth Command," it said. "You trespassed once, and the galaxy forgot, but we never did." And then, the galaxy trembled. Far beyond the Terran border, the Galactic Empire's scout ship Varaxis drifted silently through the void. Its scanners searched for the unknown source that had erased the 7th Armada. The crew whispered nervously, every signal echo making them flinch. Captain Dren, a veteran of 50 campaigns, felt the tension clawing at his chest. He had seen planetary bombardments, rebellions, and wars. But this silence felt different. It was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of something waiting. "Admiral Kor wants confirmation," the comms officer said, his voice shaking. "He believes humans are behind this." Dren frowned, his eyes fixed on the glowing radar. "Humans? They're ghosts," he muttered. "They don't have the power to destroy a whole armada." But even as he said it, a part of him didn't believe his own words. Then the radar blinked. Once. A faint blip appeared, massive, motionless, and impossibly close. "Object detected, range 500 kilometers." The sensor officer shouted. Dren's blood ran cold. "Impossible," he whispered. "We'd have seen it." The radar pulsed again, and the blip became a shape, a shadow larger than their entire ship, emerging from nothingness. It was there, silent and immense, its outline distorting the stars around it. "The Eclipse," a voice echoed through the ship's comm. No identification code, no encryption, just a voice, human, calm. "This region is under Terran protection," the voice said. "Turn around or be erased." The crew froze, disbelief and terror mixing in their eyes. "Fire a warning shot!" Dren ordered, panic creeping into his tone. The Varaxis launched a plasma round, bright, fierce, defiant. But before the projectile even reached its target, it vanished, swallowed whole by a shimmer of light surrounding the eclipse. And then the supercarrier responded from its hull. Light began to ripple like ocean waves. Energy surged, silent but powerful. In one instant, the Varaxis's systems crashed, its engines died, its lights dimmed. Every Imperial officer on board felt the air freeze. System failure, the engineer screamed, "Power core! Offline!" And outside their windows, the stars bent as the eclipse turned to face them. Dren tried to speak, but his voice broke. "Who are you?" he whispered. The voice replied, low and cold, "We are what you made us." And then the Varaxis was gone. Not destroyed, not shattered, just gone. Erased from existence like it had never been there, back on the Imperial capital, the transmission. Cut off mid-sentence, Admiral Kor stood frozen, watching static flicker on the screen. "Find out what did this," he ordered, his voice trembling for the first time. But deep down he already knew Earth was back, and it was angry. In the hidden base on Luna, Captain Mara received a coded message. "Target neutralized, signal clean." She looked at the projection of the galactic map, where the Empire's fleets were gathering. "They'll come for us now," her second-in-command said quietly. Mara smiled faintly. "Let them," she said. "The eclipse was never built to hide forever." Outside the hangar window, the supercarrier glowed faintly in the darkness, its engines warming, its weapons awakening. And somewhere in the black, a war older than memory was about to begin. The Galactic Empire had never known fear. Until now, Admiral Kor stood inside the war chamber. Surrounded by holographic maps of burning sectors, entire outposts had gone silent. Patrol fleets vanished, and every sensor reading ended the same way. A shadow appearing, then nothing. He slammed his fist on the table, fury burning through. His composure, "I want that Terran ship found," he growled, "and I want it destroyed." Within hours, the Empire assembled its greatest force in a century. 300 warships, 10 carriers, and 5 dreadnoughts gathered under the banner of vengeance. The operation was codenamed Iron Veil, their target. The last known coordinates of the mysterious human supercarrier. On the edge of the Sirius expanse, the fleet entered the dark zone. Energy waves disrupted their sensors, and strange magnetic pulses whispered through their ships. "Stay alert," Commander Serax warned his crew. "We are hunting ghosts." But in truth, the ghosts were hunting them. Deep within the darkness, the eclipse waited. Its black hull blended perfectly with the cosmic void, absorbing light and radiation alike. Inside, Captain Mara watched the enemy formation on a transparent display. "They brought everything," her engineer muttered. "Even their dreadnoughts." Mara's eyes narrowed. "Good," she said softly. "It will make the message louder." She tapped a control panel, and the eclipse shifted, invisible to scanners. It began to move silently toward the Imperial fleet, its pulse cannons charged, its quantum field thrumming like the heartbeat of a sleeping god. In the command center, a calm voice echoed through the crew. "Engage Stealth Phase 1. The stars outside twisted, and the eclipse became a ghost. Then chaos began. The Imperial dreadnought. Valthera was the first to vanish. No explosion, no warning. Just a blinding flash and a hole in space where it once existed. Panic erupted across. "The fleet! They're here!" shouted Serax. "All ships open fire!" Beams of plasma lit up the void like lightning storms, but none of them found a target. Every shot struck empty space, scattering into nothingness. Inside the eclipse, the crew remained calm. "Target the flagship," Mara ordered. Energy flowed. Through the ship's core, silent and deadly, the Eclipse's main weapon, the Event Lance, was something no other species had ever seen. It didn't fire energy or missiles, it folded reality itself, and when it fired, the Imperial flagship Dominus ceased to exist. Not even atoms remained. Across the galaxy, Imperial sensors went offline for 7 whole minutes. When they came back, over half the fleet was gone. Admiral Kor stood speechless, his face pale. "How?" he whispered. "How can a human ship do this?" No one answered. Only static. Only silence. Back aboard the Eclipse, Mara looked at the destruction she had caused. Her expression was unreadable. "They'll keep coming," her lieutenant said. "The Empire won't stop." Mara nodded slowly. "They'll come," she replied. "But we're not done either." She turned toward the darkened command bridge. "Activate the relay," she said. "It's time the galaxy remembers who we are." Lights flickered across the massive ship as ancient systems came alive. A transmission began to spread through every open channel in the known galaxy. A single message repeated endlessly. "This is Earth Command," it said. "Humanity has returned." And somewhere, far beyond even the Empire's borders, unseen watchers turned their eyes toward Sul. The stars themselves seemed to whisper, "The humans are awake again." Across the stars, fear had become the Empire's new language. Entire sectors whispered about the black ship that came from nowhere, fought without sound, and vanished like smoke. Every admiral wanted answers, every scientist demanded proof. But all they found were fragments of signals, shadows of destruction, and silence. The galaxy was trembling, and the word spreading through every transmission was the same: Earth. Inside the Imperial Citadel, Admiral Kor faced the Council of Lords, their holograms flickering in a circle of light. "You've lost 3 fleets," one of them hissed. 3! Against a single human ship." Kor clenched his jaw. "It's not a ship," he said quietly. "It's a weapon. Something built from knowledge we don't understand." The room fell silent. "What are you suggesting?" another lord demanded. Kor looked up, his voice low. "I think the humans found something in the dark frontier, something not made by them. Far across the void, on the hidden Terran moon base, Helios, Captain." Mara Sterling stood before a chamber sealed by quantum locks. The air inside hummed faintly, alive with energy older than the human race. The chamber walls were carved with symbols not written by human hands. Her chief engineer stood beside her, his face pale. "Are we really doing this?" he asked. Mara's eyes were hard, unwavering. "We already did," she said. "The Eclipse was born from this." As the doors opened, light flooded the room, swirling like liquid gold. Inside floated a crystalline core, massive, pulsing, whispering in an unknown language. This was the heart of the Eclipse, the reason it could vanish, warp, and erase entire fleets. It wasn't built. It was found, buried deep beneath the surface of Europa centuries ago. And the humans had spent 200 years trying to understand it. They failed. But they learned one truth. It responded only to them. Mara placed her hand on the interface, and the core pulsed brighter. "The Empire thinks we built a weapon," she murmured. "But this is something else." Her engineer frowned. "What do you mean?" Mara looked at him, her eyes reflecting the golden light. "It's not human tech," she said. "It's alive." At that moment, in the farthest system of Imperial space, strange readings began to appear, planets losing communication, satellites going dark, and above them, something enormous moved, something that wasn't the Eclipse. The Imperial fleet scrambled to respond, but their scanners could find nothing. Solid, only distortions then in the static. A voice echoed, faint, distorted, familiar. "Protocol 1 initiated." Back on Helios, alarms blared. Mara's second-in-command rushed in, panic in his voice. "Captain, the core! It's activating itself." The lights dimmed, and the ground began to vibrate. The Eclipse's systems came online without command, its engines roaring to life. A voice filled the air, deep and cold. Primary objective: containment. Mara stared at the glowing core, realization dawning in her eyes. "It's not a weapon of war," she whispered. "It's a prison." And before anyone could respond, the Eclipse vanished from orbit, jumping to coordinates unknown. No one on Earth knew where it went, but across the galaxy, sensors screamed as a new signal emerged. Something vast awakening beyond the stars. Admiral Kor received the transmission an hour later. It wasn't from the humans. It was from something else. "Containment breach confirmed," the message said. "Origin, Terran sector." The Admiral felt the blood drain from his face. What did the humans unleash? He whispered. In that moment, both the Empire and Earth realized the same terrifying truth. The Eclipse was never just humanity's secret weapon. It was the key to something ancient, something dangerous. And now, it was awake. The Eclipse drifted through the endless dark, alone, silent, and alive, its once human crew now trapped in a vessel that no longer obeyed them. Inside the command deck, Captain Mara Sterling stared at the flickering lights and the symbols flashing across every console. They were not human letters, not even alien, just ancient. Fluid marks glowing like fire beneath glass. "The ship's sealed itself," her lieutenant whispered. "All controls are locked." Mara didn't answer. She could feel something watching her from within the ship itself. Far away, Earth Command lost contact completely. Their strongest satellites burned out trying to track the Eclipse. Every reading showed impossible results. Multiple locations, infinite velocity, signatures from timelines that shouldn't exist. "Ma'am," a young technician said, his voice trembling, "it's moving faster than light. It's moving through light." The command room fell silent. No one spoke the truth aloud, but everyone thought it. They had awakened something beyond science. Meanwhile, in the Imperial capital, Admiral Kor listened to the intercepted Terran transmissions. For the first time, the Empire's arrogance faltered. He leaned closer to the holographic map. "The ship isn't attacking anymore," he muttered. "It's scanning." "Scanning for what?" his aide asked. Kor's voice turned cold. "For something older than both our civilizations." Back aboard the Eclipse, the crew watched in awe as the ship navigated through a nebula of shattered moons. Outside the viewport, energy storms raged, bending time and light. The Eclipse moved as if guided by memory, not by command. Then the lights dimmed, and a deep voice echoed through the ship. "Containment breach confirmed." Every console lit up red, symbols flashing in a language that felt alive. Mara's heart pounded. "What containment?" she demanded, but the voice continued, ignoring her. "Origin, Ancient System 09, Prison Integrity 0%. The screen shifted, showing an image of a black sphere floating in space, surrounded by chains of energy the size of planets, one by one. Those chains were breaking. Mara stared in horror. "What are we looking at?" The ship answered. "The Origin entity." Across the galaxy, sensors exploded with energy readings. The black sphere pulsed, and from within it, something stirred. Something older than galaxies, born before stars. It had been sealed away by a forgotten race. The same race that built the Eclipse's core. And now, it was waking up on the Imperial command bridge. Alarms screamed, massive gravitational waves tore through entire sectors, collapsing jump gates and distorting communication. "Channels, it's heading toward us," Kor shouted. "That thing, it's moving." But before he could issue orders, a new transmission appeared on every screen in the galaxy. It wasn't human, it wasn't Imperial, it was the Eclipse. Its message echoed in every language, in every frequency. "This is Captain Mara Sterling of the Terran ship Eclipse. Containment breach confirmed, unknown entity active, all civilizations stand by." Her voice trembled slightly, but her eyes were calm. "Whatever this thing is," she said, "we're all in danger." The message reached Earth, the Empire, and even the independent colonies beyond the rim. For the first time in history, enemies paused their wars. Everyone listened, because they all felt it, the air of the universe itself trembling. The eclipse turned toward the black sphere, its engines igniting with a light brighter than a sun. Mara whispered under her breath, "If this ship was built to fight gods, then it's time we find out why." Far away, the black sphere cracked open, and what came out was not light, not darkness, something in between, something alive. Its voice echoed across all of space. "You opened the door," it said. "Now, you must remember why it was closed." The stars around it began to die, and the eclipse charged forward, into the impossible. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for the outcome of a war that had begun before history itself. The galaxy was breaking apart. Worlds trembled as the ancient sphere shattered, releasing waves of power strong enough to bend gravity and time itself. Empires once proud and defiant now stared into the dark with the same terror. It was not just a weapon they feared. It was a mind, a being that had been caged since the dawn of existence. And now, it was free. On Earth's orbital command, the Council watched as their screens filled with impossible data. Stars flickered, in and out of existence, as if reality itself was being rewritten. "This isn't a war we can win alone," said General Harris, his voice breaking the silence. He turned toward the holographic image of Admiral Kor, two enemies, face to face for the first time in history. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Kor nodded slowly. "Agreed," he said. "Whatever this thing is, it doesn't care about who rules the stars. It wants to erase them all." An uneasy alliance was born that day. Human ships and Imperial dreadnoughts gathered side by side. Engineers traded secrets once worth entire empires. And for the first time, the galaxy united, not for conquest, but survival. But even united, they all knew one truth. Without the eclipse, none of them stood a chance. Deep within the void, the eclipse approached the entity's awakening zone, its hull glowing faintly with golden symbols, the same ones found. In its hidden core, Captain Mara Sterling stood at the command deck, her eyes locked on the swirling vortex ahead. "Energy readings off the scale," her lieutenant said, voice trembling. Mara nodded, her hand resting on the control crystal. "Stay focused," she whispered. "This is what we were built for." Suddenly, the ship shuddered. The entity's presence pressed against their minds like 1,000 voices whispering at once. "You are fragments of what we destroyed," it said, its voice echoing across dimensions. Mara gritted her teeth. "Then you didn't destroy us well enough," she hissed. The eclipse's core pulsed, answering her with a deep hum that shook the entire vessel. On every Imperial and Terran screen, readings spiked into chaos. "Captain," the engineer shouted, "the ship's drawing energy from hyperspace itself. It's rewriting physics." Mara looked out at the dark beyond. "Then let it," she said. "We'll rewrite fate while we're at it." From the eclipse's hull, massive golden lines of energy began to spiral outward. They formed shields large enough to protect entire fleets. The combined human and Imperial armada took position behind the eclipse, thousands of ships forming a wall of light against the darkness. For a moment, hope flickered, and then the entity moved. It was not a creature, but a storm, endless, formless, alive. Its voice thundered through every channel, through every mind. "You are bound by time," it said. "We are not." In response, the eclipse opened fire, not with lasers, not with missiles, but with pure energy, waves of folded space tearing through the void. The first blast struck the entity's core, sending ripples across the universe. Every sensor, every scanner screamed. It was working, but barely, on the Imperial flagship. Admiral Kor gripped the console. "Keep firing," he shouted. "Don't let it regenerate." Earth's commanders echoed the same orders. Every ship, every cannon, every beam converged on the target. The galaxy itself seemed to ignite. But still, the entity endured. Its voice grew louder. "You cannot kill what was never born." Inside the eclipse, systems began to overload. The hull groaned, the lights flickered, the core burned like a small sun. "Mara," the AI's voice spoke softly. "Containment integrity failing." She closed her eyes. "How much time?" "Not enough," the AI replied. Then Mara smiled. "Then it's perfect," she said quietly. She activated the final protocol. The Eclipse's core expanded, merging with the ship itself. For the first time, every being in the galaxy felt it. A pulse, like the heartbeat of creation. Mara's voice echoed through every comm system. "To every ship, every soul, this is the last stand." And then, with a burst brighter than 1,000 suns, the eclipse dove straight into the entity's heart. The explosion didn't just destroy, it rewrote. Light swallowed darkness, then folded in on itself. For a moment, the galaxy went completely silent, and when the light faded, the entity was gone. The fleets floated in the silence of victory. No one spoke. No one cheered. They all stared at the empty space where the eclipse had vanished. On Earth and in the Empire, the same message appeared across every screen. A simple line of text, glowing faintly. "Containment complete." Admiral Kor bowed his head. "She did it," he whispered. And far beyond the stars, unseen by any eye, a faint shadow drifted in the void. The eclipse, silent and scarred, still alive. And within its core, Captain Mara opened her eyes. "Mission not over," she said softly. "We just bought time." The stars shimmered faintly as if listening, and somewhere deep in the dark, something else stirred, waiting, watching, remembering. Silence ruled the galaxy once again. The war was over, the ancient entity gone, and the stars seemed calm. But deep inside that quiet, something still pulsed, faint, rhythmic, alive. In the black between systems, a shadow moved, a massive shape, hidden, drifting. The eclipse, scarred, silent, yet still glowing with faint golden light. Inside its command chamber, Captain Mara Sterling slowly opened her eyes. Her body floated weightless, surrounded by glowing threads of energy. She looked around. The crew was gone. No voices, no alarms, only the hum of the ship. Then the voice came, soft and echoing. "You survived," it said. It was the ship itself, the intelligence born from the alien core. Mara blinked slowly. "Did we win?" she whispered. "For now," the voice replied. "But the cycle is not broken. Far away on Earth, centuries seemed to pass in seconds. Time had folded when the eclipse unleashed its final strike. To those on the surface, Mara and her ship had vanished generations ago, yet they remembered her as a legend. The woman who faced a god and lived. Monuments stood beneath the stars, carved with her name. But no one knew she was still out there, floating beyond the edge of reality. On the Imperial homeworld, Admiral Kor had grown old. He sat in a silent garden beneath twin suns, looking at the sky. Even in peace, he could not forget the light that had saved them all. Every night, he heard the same whisper in his dreams. Containment complete. But lately, the whisper had changed. Now, it said, containment breaking. Back aboard the Eclipse, Mara walked through the dark corridors. The ship was different now, alive, breathing, pulsing with golden veins. The AI spoke again. "The entity you fought was not alone." Mara froze. "What do you mean?" The holographic core shimmered, showing countless galaxies, each with a black sphere. "All across creation, others are waking," it said. "Their prisons are failing." Mara's heart sank, but her eyes hardened. "Then we'll stop them," she said. The ship was silent for a moment, then replied, "You misunderstand, Captain." It projected an image, a star map zooming into Sol, Earth's system. The light dimmed, revealing the impossible. Beneath the crust of Earth itself, buried for billions of years, was another sphere. Mara stared, her voice barely a whisper. Earth was one of them. The truth hit like thunder. Humanity had not been a random creation. It had been born from the remnants of containment energy. Life on Earth had come from the very force they were trying to imprison. Humans were not descendants of gods. They were fragments of what gods had feared. That was why the Eclipse responded to them, why the core obeyed them. They were the inheritors of the oldest power in existence. "The others will come for Earth," the AI said. "They will try to awaken what sleeps beneath it." Mara closed her eyes. "Then we'll stand again," she said, her voice filled with quiet fire. "We'll defend it like we always have." The Eclipse turned slowly, its engines glowing faintly. For the first time, the AI's voice softened, almost human. "Captain," it said, "if we go back, we may never return." Mara smiled faintly. "I never planned to," she whispered, and as the Eclipse jumped through the fabric of reality, a ripple spread across the stars. Far beyond, countless black spheres pulsed in answer. The next cycle had begun. But this time, humanity was awake. This time they would not hide. This time, the galaxy would remember why the stars once trembled at the name of Earth.